I've been saying this for a very, very, very long time. Joe Biden is probably not going to end up making the 2024 debate stage. I think the way that he's fallen off, especially given the fact, you can go back and even just compare. You don't even need to go back to 2016, where he was at least somewhat lucid, or even 2012, squaring off against Paul Ryan on the vice presidential debate stage. That is a totally different human being, let alone the same iteration of Biden. Just the way that he's fallen off, well, I was going to say from year to year, but from week to week at this point, he can't even traverse a flat stage without going face first into it. It's a perfect time if they're looking, because I don't know. Is the DNC just figuring out if they can pull off the same magic that they did in 2020 again in 2024? If they can't do it, is that when you end up making the sleight of hand change out for Gavin Newsom, who I still think, if Joe Biden doesn't make it to the stage, which I'm kind of thinking is about a 60% shot at this point in time. I hope that Joe Biden lives for another, I don't know, a long enough period of time. Okay, I don't want him to die in office or anything like that. Christ almighty, I hate the guy's policies. I wish him well. Okay, I wish him well. His policies are just terrible, not just for the United States, but for the rest of the Western world. We have seen how everything has fallen apart under one term, let alone a second. And you think if the DNC, after Joe Biden is not debating anybody, who is simply just forging straight forward, trying to go directly through all of those caucuses, just accept the nomination, hit the debate stage, and then if anything does need to happen, that the DNC itself could just go ahead and go, okay, it's too late to run any primary votes or anything like that. We're just going to go ahead and we had a discussion among our leadership, and here's our new candidate, Gavin Newsom. I still think it's going to be Gavin Newsom if anybody does end up replacing Joe Biden, or at least Newsom's definitely positioning himself well for a 2028 campaign. He's probably the scariest guy that is on the Democratic bench, because you might hate his policies, because you know his policies. When people see him up there on the debate stage in his Patrick Bateman looking ass best, he is a charismatic snake oil salesman who should strike fear in your hearts, because for the regular rank and file person who just simply votes Democrat because it's their default position, they will be enchanted by this guy. And then the people that just hear all of the bad things about the Republican nominee, he's going to get the glowing endorsement of the media, which he already does just on a national stage. And taking a look at all of the scrubs that just kicked themselves off of the debate stage and out of Republican politics right now, I don't look at any of those guys that could properly stack up to Gavin Newsom in his current form right now. And with him going abroad, going to China, going to Israel, making himself a bigger, more prominent foreign actor, he's getting ready for something. But Ted Cruz is now talking about this phenomenon that Biden's not making it to 2024, and they're going to be replacing him. But with who? Michelle Obama, which, oh Lord, that could be terrible. Okay, she's qualified for the position. Okay, can't take that away from her. She's an American citizen. Her passport is not necessarily in question. Just a couple of the letters that are on there. Is there an M there when there should be an F? Who knows? But she's an American citizen. She's over the age of 35. Very much so. So yes, she can run as president. But outside of that, Lord have mercy. If you thought the radical aspects of the Biden administration were exacerbated in the recent years, I got news for you. It would only be turned up, not to 11, to about 15 or 20 with a Michelle Obama presidency. This would be atrocious. It would be terrible. It would be so much worse than a fourth term of a Obama administration, because that's just kind of what Joe is. All the same characters and casting characters are there anyways. But this is what Ted Cruz was talking about. So yes, Cruz on Monday again repeated his theory that Democrats would jettison 80-year-old President Joe Biden and parachute in Michelle Obama as their White House nominee at next summer's convention. Yeah, that's where the sleight of hand could end up happening. After all of the votes are cast and all that stuff, then you got to go accept the nomination. But Joe, as he's making up the stage, goes, we got to delay the convention. And it's totally fine. We can just go ahead and put somebody in there and it'll be great. Don't worry about it. Cruz appeared Monday morning on Fox and Friends when he was asked by co-host Brian Kilmeade about Obama advisor David Axelrod floating that Biden should ponder dropping out as this is the last moment to do so, with the presidential primary starting in mid-January. And yes, I also did a video recently about all of the different problems that Biden has at this point in his first term of his presidency, where astronomically low approval ratings and 5 of 6 major swing states going in Trump's favor, even at this point in time, not for just, razor-thin margins or anything like that. In some states, by 10 points, with an average of on and around 5, so outside of your margin of error. Like, it looks like we're probably heading for that landslide that, well, everybody thought that 2020 would be, and likely was. Cruz told Kilmeade he thought that Axelrod's push was very serious. In my view, for a long time, that Barack Obama has been the person pulling the strings behind Joe Biden. Yeah, no, not alone on this one, Ted. Joe Biden is clearly not up to it. I think Obama is making the decisions, and Axelrod is Obama's right hand, Cruz had said. Post-Sunday, Axelrod, the chief strategist for Obama's winning 2008 and 12 campaigns, said that Trump was a dangerous, unhinged demagogue whose brazen disdain for the rules, norms, laws, and institutions or democracy should be disqualifying. Are you describing the previous campaigns that you worked on, Axelrod? Just wondering. Projection is awfully strong on that. But for the stakes of miscalculation here are too dramatic to ignore. I.e., yeah, that whole ballot harvesting thing that we did last time, can't make that trick work again. Only Joe Biden can make this decision. If he continues to run, he will be the nominee for the Democratic Party. But the last time that there was a Democratic president that the establishment didn't want, well, certain suggestions were made, like, oh, we're here, it's such a nice day in Dallas, why don't we put the roof down? What he needs is to decide is whether that is wise, whether it is in his best interest of the country's. Yo, did he actually say that? Because that's kind of a loaded statement. The top Obama aide pointed to the poll numbers, saying that they will send tremors of doubt to the Democratic Party. Not bedwetting, he added, but legitimate concern. Yeah, exactly. By anybody who understands math knows that the bigger number held by the big orange man over there is greater than your smaller number. Wow, you can probably even break that down for Joe at 80 years old to understand. I said on my podcast 3 months ago, Verdict with Ted Cruz. We know. I predicted that there was a very real chance that the Democrats would jettison Joe Biden and parachute in Michelle Obama, and that they'd do it in the convention next summer, Cruz said. I think the chances of that are rising every day. I do agree with the idea of parachuting in a candidate. I just don't know if it's Michelle Obama. I don't know if she wants all that smoke right now, or if she would be somebody waiting for 2028, waiting her turn, because unlike the current crop of politicians that are opining for the Oval Office, yeah, she's not 9,000 years old, okay? Michelle Obama has long expressed that she has no desire to be a political candidate. She just also positions herself in very interesting places, but okay. Yet Cruz argued that she's the only one who could easily take Biden's place. No, man. This is what happens when you're too close to the trees to see the forest. The reason I say Michelle Obama is if Biden gets out of the way, next is Kamala Harris, and she's performing even worse than Biden. And she's a very flawed candidate. He said they know that, and the Democrat Party, they can't push Kamala Harris aside and replace her with a white guy. Oh, they can, because everybody knows that Kamala Harris, that's why they don't cover her whenever she does anything, not knowing if she does anything to begin with. Like, she's supposed to be in charge of AI in the southern border. How well has that been for her? Well, not great. They can't drop Gavin Newsom in over an African-American woman and not have the party lose their mind. No. They'd be totally fine with that. Okay, that's the thing about leftists, man. They'll go ahead and betray all of their principles if it's an ally that's just going to go ahead and push harder than somebody that they just intrinsically don't like. Newsom, the governor of California, that would be my pick if anybody's going to be replacing Biden, has made moves that suggest he'll eventually seek the White House, but has already endorsed Biden's 2024 campaign. Yeah. Just go ahead and, put yourself real close to Joe Biden. I'm a great friend of Joe Biden. I will go out there and I will campaign for him. Wherever he cannot be, I will be there for him. Just ingratiate himself right to the campaign and just swoop in in at the 11th hour as, it's somebody who just loved Joe Biden all the way until the bitter end. And when he just wasn't fit, he didn't feel like he could go ahead and serve the American people. He anointed me as his most loyal and trusted electioneer, as somebody who could continue on the great legacy of the Joe Biden administration, which the media would be more than willing to run. He would get all of those sympathy points and they could just go ahead and go whole hog, full press against that evil orange man. Michelle Obama is the one person who can drop in and do that and not fracture their party, Cruz said about replacing Biden. I think, if you have a short list of candidates to replace Joe Biden, like I said, not hoping for it. We're just simply going with a hypothetical. I think there's probably 3 names that you could immediately list right now. And if it wasn't for those pesky term limits, Obama himself would probably try to throw himself in there. So we've already mentioned 2. But there's also a power-hungry, life-alert enthusiast that's also out there waiting in the wings, thinking that she still got robbed in 2016. I don't even want to speak her name. Mostly because if you do that too often, you end up on a list where you just suddenly find yourself overcome with guilt, being strung up from a light standard, and it's like, oh, it was so tragic that he had to go out that way, and also put 2 shots in the back of his head. Yeah, just a tragic self-deletion that you have up there. So I think we'll probably have a little bit more of an insight as to what's going to happen with the Biden campaign if he really, really, really starts to go dark on a bunch of things. And you're kind of even seeing that right now, where he's not really doing a whole heck of a lot. If he starts to take more vacations, starts to stay further and further away from the media with the election starting to heat up here in the new year, then I think it'll be probably easy money to just go ahead and bet on a replacement. Who that replacement's ultimately going to be, Lord only knows at this point in time. But yeah, I think it's going to be Newsom. Ted Cruz thinks that it's going to be Michelle Obama. But regardless, 2024 is really shaping up to be a historic event. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.